Interesting people, interesting times. You're with Kay on MITE Radio. Welcome back to Interesting People, Interesting Times with Rells. I was just thinking really that one of the best recommendations for help I ever received was, do you want a lift somewhere? And I thought that was really cool because I was going to the hospital at the time and somebody said, I can always give you a lift to hospital and then wait with you and then come back. And it was specific, but it was the sort of thing that because it was so specific, I could actually go back to her like 6 weeks later and say, you know how you actually said that you could come to the hospital with me? Well, would you be available on like the 3rd of whatever it is to actually do that? And it was hugely helpful having some support there at that particular time. So I think it does make a difference if you can make the offer open enough that somebody can come back to you later on and take it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. How did being a carer impact your family and your friendships at the time? Do you remember?
I think life was so full on and busy in that era of my life. I was very lucky. I had some very good girlfriends, all new mums, and they understood the busyness of how my life was. And a lot of the time they would come to me rather than me go to them, because a lot of them had husbands that were fly in, fly out, and they were stay-at-home mums, so their days were a lot more relaxed and flexible. So I was very lucky. I had a very good friend group. But when I was in the beginning, it was quite difficult to try and have a social battery, have the energy and the capacity to actually spend time with those people, because my capacities were parenting, providing, and being a carer. So a lot of the time when they would try and catch up, it would be like, I'm so tired, I just can't, So I think that was where the impact was it in the first year or so. It really was hard for me to try and juggle everything and not burn myself out and be extremely tired and isolated. But I found balance eventually.
Any tricks for other people how to find that balance quicker?
I think remembering that your needs are the priority, not the person you're caring for. Your needs are actually the priority.
The concept of putting your own oxygen mask on first before helping somebody else.
Fill your own cup before you fill somebody else's. And I understand that, being a carer comes in all variations. Some people have to be there 24 hours of a day, 7 days a week. Some people can have a little bit more. I was quite lucky. I had that freedom of being able to leave Nan for hours in the day while I'd go to work. But I'd go up to work, ride my bike to work because I didn't drive at the time, ride my bike home at lunchtime, make sure she had lunch, and then ride back to work, and then ride home, pick my daughter up, and then do dinner. Generally dinner was made at breakfast and it was in a crock pot ready to go when I got home. So that was, organising things like that made a big difference. Like, because it used to be I'd come home from work and I'd make dinner and then people would want to try and catch up with me. And I was like, I'm tired. I've worked all day and then I've come home and made dinner and bathed and bed and all of the things, so doing little changes of like making dinner in the morning and just putting it in a crock pot and everything was ready to go when I got home. So then I wasn't also giving myself extra work when I got home.
These are probably some of the things that you could have picked up if you had a support group or a network of people around you that were also carers, because you get those tips you found it out earlier rather than later. Yeah. And what about family relationships? Did they change or did it put those under pressure?
I think there was a lot going on in the family at the time, and those were reasons my parents moved to a different house, and so there was already a strain in their relationship, and that made things quite difficult. My stepdad was generally the one who would help me with doctor's appointments and getting medications. Financially I wasn't available to be able to pay for those things. Like I couldn't pay for my nan's medications, and she was a heavy smoker as well, so I couldn't be keeping that habit going. But yeah, I think kind of feeling like I was just left with a newborn and a nana was a big strain on my perception of my parents. You know, it made me kind of feel like, oh, you're just leaving me in the most vulnerable time in my life with two very vulnerable human beings at either end of the spectrum, you know, newborn and old. So they both need exactly the same care.
In very different ways.
Yes.
Yes. We spoke a little bit earlier about your daughter's relationship with your nana. You know, are there some other fond memories of the time that they spent together? Because it's quite a unique relationship they can have, isn't it?
Oh, they were best friends.
Yeah.
Like they honestly, I think they were soulmates. Like there's a photo that comes up every year and it's my nan sat on the couch with Grace Lily on her lap, wrapped in this pink teddy bear blanket. And they've both got the biggest smiles on their face. Sorry. They've both got the biggest smiles on their face. And it's just like that memory in itself comes up every year and it tears me up every time. And it reminds me of all the little things they do together. In the morning, my nan would call Grace Frida. So the dog was called Fred and Grace was Frida. And she'd be like, I'd come out in the morning and she's, where's my Frida? If I didn't come out with Grace, you know, and as soon as she'd see her run along, she'd be, Frida. And she'd sit on her knee and my nan had a specific way she made toast. So she'd toast it and then she scored it and she crushed all the crust. Okay. And then she'd share a little bit with Grace every morning. They'd spend lots of time on the couch watching Andre Rieu, which my nan really loved. And then, you know, lots of kids' movies. And sometimes I'd get disciplined from my nana for being too harsh. You are too mean to the baby. Because I told her, no, she can't have a biscuit at 10 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, there's lots of little memories that, you know, I hold really fondly. Having those is really nice, and I talk to Grace about them quite often. I think when she passed, there was a time we were in the car. We'd just gone back to Australia. We were in the car, and we're driving along, and Grace is like, all of a sudden, bawling her eyes out, and just like, I miss my nan. I want her back. And I'm like, oh, baby, I'm trying to drive. So, yeah, they were very, very close.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. Enjoying the music? Enjoying the tech? Please share us with your friends. miteradio.com.au.
If you
Tiff time.
Let's have a tiff, shall we?
Yes, well, we'll try.
All right.
We tend to agree too often, but
All
we
right.
can give it a shot.
Let me make a statement.
Okay.
Smartwatches are a waste of money.
Yeah, okay. I'm on board with that.
Let me give you an introductory paragraph.
Okay.
Smartwatches have become an integral part of everyday life for many people in recent years. Is that bollocks? They are no longer just a fancy accessory or a novelty item, but rather a practical and useful device that can help us stay connected and organised. With features like fitness tracking, notifications, and even voice assistance, smartwatches have transformed the way we interact with technology and each other. Do you agree, Kay?
No, well, some of it, not really. I'm not sure which side I'm meant to be taking.
Well,
but
I'm giving you the option.
yeah.
I'll play both.
Look, I'm not a huge fan of smartwatches. I think they're a bit of a waste of time, to tell you the truth. And I'm one of the worst people for being on my phone when I'm in the middle of a conversation or having it next to me or it bleeping. But I find it even more uncomfortable when people are constantly checking messages on their wrist when I'm trying to talk to them. I think that's even worse.
Well, that's a whole other thing, isn't it? If you're face to face with somebody having drinks or dinner or whatever, your phone really shouldn't be part of this at all. It should be either upside down in do not disturb mode or in your pocket or your purse.
With your phone, you have the option for having an emergency call break through Do Not Disturb, and I think that's very important. We've had long discussions about this, about whether you should take mobile phones on dates with you, and some people are very aggressively that no, you shouldn't. But I argue that if you've got kids or if you've got family, there might be an emergency, you actually still want to be contactable, but only for those things that are an emergency.
So I put to you then, if you're wearing a watch with haptics meaning it buzzes and vibrates on your wrist, and you can quickly glance down and see that it's a message from the babysitter or whatever, is that not better and less intrusive than your phone?
And you put the watch on Do Not Disturb, do you?
The watch follows the protocols you set on your device. So if you have an Android device, you get a Samsung Android phone, Android watch, and then they talk to each other. So they literally know. So one's an extension of the other. If you've got an Apple Watch with an Apple iPhone, then again they talk to each other in the Apple sphere. So yes, you would get a bzz, bzz on your wrist, which is very discreet, and you can have a quick glance at it, and usually the message will pop up with enough detail, assuming the person isn't writing paragraphs, for you to either ignore it or whatever. And I think that's a nicer option than physically getting your phone out and having a look at it, because it's...
No, I find that constant looking at your watch over and over again is actually quite rude.
I guess I query whether constant is an accurate representation of how often it would be, unless you're, a tech geeky person who really likes to. If your conversation is that exciting that you're looking at your watch frequently, then perhaps you shouldn't be having that conversation.
It's hard not to, isn't it? If you get that beep beep on your wrist, it's really hard to ignore that.
A couple of positive things that I think, besides the discreetness, if you like, as far as things like Fitbit. You must have heard of Fitbit. They've been around for years.
Yes.
Tracking your steps and motivating you to be more active.
You can do that using your phone. You don't need the watch.
That's true. Some people don't necessarily subscribe to having mobile phones or as a bigger part of the life, especially seniors. They seem to be a bit averse to having mobile phones at all. So something on your wrist that vibrates every 30 minutes to say, hey, get up and stretch, or, have you done your 30 minutes of exercise today, might be kind of a nicer way to keep you motivated and organised. We used to be, but all our family, yes, we used to be Apple people years ago. We've moved over to Android now, simply because, in my opinion, as a techspert, Apple stuff is just too expensive, and you can get, as good an experience really from the Android stuff. Not to knock the Apple stuff, it's really good.
And I know that you would still tend to recommend the Apple iPhone if somebody already has an iPad and they're familiar with it, and particularly if you're a senior and you're wanting to stay in the same space.
Yeah, they tend to be a little easier to use, but Android has made some significant inroads into that over the years. So, now toss a coin almost. But when I used to have my Apple Watch, it has a slightly larger screen, and I think the Samsung Watch has a large screen as well. But when you're driving in the car, And if you're using a navigation system, it used to bzz once to say that you've got a left turn coming up, and it would bzz, bzz twice to say you've got a right turn coming up. Fantastic. You don't have to look at your screen, you don't have to listen to the voice assist. You just know that the next intersection, you've got to turn left.
Yes,
great idea.
So much easier than listening to it say turn left.
Absolutely. And you can kind of glance at the watch. You can glance at the watch as well, and it shows you just a little quite a big thumbnail, about 1.5 inches square, with an arrow and the name of the street and how far and stuff like that.
But it's so tiny. You've got this tiny little screen on you.
I'm saying it's actually quite big, the Apple Watch in particular, and I think the Samsung watches are too. But look, horses for courses, there are a lot of things that you can do. And if you fancy jumping onto our website and having a look at our show notes at maguit.com.au, I've got an article breaking down the information. So notifications, if the phone's ringing, you don't have to take your phone out of your pocket or your wallet. It'll tell you who's calling, and you can tap on it to answer it, and Dick Tracy style, or you can double tap on it to send it to voicemail, things like that. It can monitor your heart rate. It's great for navigation, as I've mentioned, and safety for falling over, right? If you are wearing a smartwatch that is capable, any kind of sudden gravity shift, falling on the ground, that kind of stuff can help. So great. There we go.
She
You're here with Interesting People, Interesting Times on MITE Radio. If you could go back to that period of time and do it again, is there any one thing that sticks in your mind that you would go, that's what I would do differently?
Yeah, I think if I went back in that period of time, I would hopefully, I think my main thing would have been seeking help as a carer, like go with respite for carers and respite for my nan, to get that balance earlier and accept the help that is out there, and having the ability to balance the life of being a carer and actually also just being an individual. You know, my personality and my human being is not just a carer. You know, I have other things that I enjoy and I should be able to pursue as a carer as well. And yeah, I would definitely look at respite and more help around with my nan.
That's yes, really interesting, that balance of trying to create, not losing you in the carer's role. Yeah. Technology is changing so fast at the moment, either within caring or outside of caring. Is there anything that particularly, scares you about the technology of the future, or anything that really excites you about the tech that's out there now and available?
I think tech in a medical sense is becoming so advanced, and seeing things like people who are unable to walk have the ability to walk because of the technology that we have is just phenomenal. We've got a long way to go for being more inclusive of people with disabilities. But I think we are making leaps and bounds. A lot of new buildings and places that are older buildings are now starting to, actually think about these things that they've not necessarily thought about in previous years. Things like having elevators and having ramps that are not 90-degree ramps, because, who wants to try and take their wheelchair down a ramp that is as steep as a hill, because it's scary. So yeah, I think that the way that is advancing, brilliant. I worry, I suppose, with the way we are more consumed with our phones and with the technology that is around us, that we are disconnecting and becoming less, a less connected society, and less people moving into roles of caring, which leaves our elderly and our people with disabilities at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We touched on the changes in people becoming more aware of disabilities, more aware of people as carers. Do you think that people's generally their awareness of mental health has also changed since you were a carer perhaps to now? And do you think that has impact on today's carers?
I think most definitely. When I was with MSWA, they did offer therapy services. They were all confidential for all of their carers. So, there is definitely the service. There was definitely the services there, but as a unpaid carer, I didn't know about any of those services. I think the pandemic brought to the surface a lot of people that have never dealt with mental health before, dealt with mental health for the first time in their lives. And I think it really opened up a door for more acceptance and more knowledge. And the more technology we get, the more we're seeing studies from all over the world, around mental health and the impacts it has on people. So, yes, I feel like we are more aware, and we are, more aware, but our services are not really any better. Not from my own journey. It is still like a bit of a revolving door. You've got to try very hard to get the help, and when you're at desperation's end, having to put all that effort in to try and get the help sometimes isn't really what you've got when you've got no capacity. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have some more David Bowie and be right back.
Can you carve out some time for volunteering? contact us through our website at miteradio.com.au to become part of our team. Presenting, admin, editing, storytelling and interviewing. Help us find a role to suit you. Stay active, become part of the MITE radio family, and all while helping the community.
Taking you nowhere. Angel, come up, baby. Look at that sky, life's begun. Nights are warm and the days are young. Come up, baby. There's my baby lost, that's all. Once I'm begging you, save a little soul. Go, come up, baby. Last night they loved you, opening doors and pulling some strings. Angel, come up, baby. Didn't walk luck and you looked in time. Never looked back, walk tall, act fine. Come up, baby. I'll stick with you, baby, for 1,000 years. Nothing's gonna touch you in these golden years. Drive back down where you once belonged, in the back of a dream car 20 foot long. Don't cry, my sweet, don't break my heart. Doing all right, you've gotta get smart. Wish upon day, I believe, oh Lord, I believe all the way. Run for the shadows, run for the shadows, run for the shadows in these golden years. There's my baby lost, that's all. One time begging you save a little golden years. Don't let me hear you say life's taking you nowhere. Angel, come up, baby. Run for the shadows, run for the shadows, run for the shadows in these golden years. I'll stick with you, baby, for 1,000 years. Nothing's gonna touch you in these golden years. Golden years, yes. Golden years, golden years,
We have future innovation. Tony, tell us what's coming up. From the Innovation Hub. Okay, we had a bunch of run-on smart things. I'm going to change it up just a little bit. X-ray glasses.
These are different to smart glasses.
Sounds very sci-fi, doesn't it?
It does.
Let me just define some terms first. XR, all right, extended reality. VR, virtual reality. AR, augmented reality, and MR, mixed reality. If you add all these things together, you end up with this thing called extended reality. So we're extending reality in some way, and those are the three main components. So XR is the kind of catch-all term for all of these technologies. Virtual reality kind of replaces the user's view completely, right? So you put on a pair of goggles and you're in this virtual world. Everything in its entirety is computer generated, okay? Augmented reality, right? So think of the word augmentation, where you're enhancing the real world by overlaying computer generated information. So if I look at you, and radiating off your head might be this number that says what your temperature is, because there's a sensor that's reading the temperature of you, right? So I can
so we're
overlay
talking the Terminator's view.
Yeah, that's right. And then there's mixed reality, and that kind of sits somewhere in between AR and VR. It kind of merges the real world and virtual worlds together, kind of blending them together with computer-generated objects. Right? So I can bring in an emu and put an emu behind you in your real world. Or we could be in a virtual world and a real emu comes into it. You know, that variation is what they're calling mixed reality. Right? Okay. So in order to do that, of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's required. And one extra thing they've talked about now is having this concept of X-ray glasses. So basically they're called XAR glasses. Right. So they're augmented reality glasses, and they're extended reality. So XAR glasses are what they're calling them. So these little guys, a normal pair of glasses that you put on. So rather than the contact lenses I talked about earlier, which gave you that kind of Terminator view that was focused on almost probes in your head kind of thing.
And that was very much health-based, wasn't it? Yes.
This is you put a pair of these glasses on, which are basically transparent normal glasses, but they have this component in there using RFID tags, this RFID tags, which respond to objects in your virtual space, in your real space, in your virtual space, whatever it is. So think about a person working in a warehouse looking for a particular parcel, and all the parcels have tags on them.
Yes.
Right? You can track your items using tracking numbers, right? So if each one of these has a tag, you could literally walk into a warehouse and look at a particular box, or virtually tap this box, and up will pop a bubble, because it knows what this box is, and tell you the information about what's in the package or what the details are, all that kind of stuff. Or you can search for a particular thing, looking for an item. So think if you perhaps you're working in a ship, and there's a part of the engine that needs to be replaced or repaired, and all of these parts have their own tags on them. So trying to find where that is, you know.
But you could run your eye across the whole scenario, and then it could start glowing, or
that's right.
Arrows point to it. Or
they like the concept of a bubble popping up. So you know you can put your hand out and virtually touch something. I wanted to see what's inside that box, and as you do that with your finger, up pops this bubble which tells you all about this particular box, which is a really interesting idea. So it uses RFID tags. They're using a combination of 5G technology with antennas built into the glasses to give you some kind of range, and they're talking accuracy, you know, of less than a meter for this kind of stuff. So it's pretty impressive. Obviously, it can be used across obstacles, through walls, all sorts of things like that. So it's a really interesting concept, using X-ray glasses, but not to see underneath your clothes, to actually see devices and items that might be hidden from view. So there we go.
It really is very exciting, the way of the future. If you're not afraid of it, or even if you are, it's still very exciting.
Try and understand it. That's it.
Can swing, though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever. just for one day.
Interesting people, interesting times. You're with Kay on MITE Radio. You're back with Interesting People, Interesting Times, and I have the pleasure of having Rells here, and we're talking about the role as a carer. So lastly, is there any other advice that you would give somebody who's just found that they're about to be a carer for the first time and like looking down the barrel of a long journey? Is there any other advice that you'd give them beyond, seek more help, look after yourself?
Yeah, I think they're the main things. Is when you seek more help, you have more time to look after yourself. Don't forget that you're an individual. You are an individual with individual needs, and yes, you are a carer, and those two do meld into that individuality. But if you get the help, you get time to just breathe and remember the things that are you and not your carer.
And perhaps that gives you more capacity to enjoy the positive moments that you have with the person you're caring for if you're
most definitely
not at that level all the time yourself.
Yeah, because if you're the person that's doing all the work all the time, you are not getting time to step back and go, this is my grandparent, or this is my partner, or this is my child, and enjoy those moments with them. It's clouded with, I've got this to do and that to do and the medications to get and this to get and that to get. So you get less time to enjoy the time with the human that you're caring for. They generally become hard work, and that can be really detrimental to how we view that human being as well, because we love these people most dearly, but sometimes when you're at the end of your tether, you're just like, I'm fed up, and when you get the help and the respite, you can go, okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm nearly fed up. It's time to start engaging with services so that this person can go and take some time out, I can take some time out, and we can reset.
Because it takes a huge emotional toll, doesn't it? Because there must be a lot of anger and depression and disappointment and everything around the person who is being cared for's how they feel about everything. You know, that they've. I can't imagine what it would be like being in their position. That, you know, there must be guilt and anger and all sorts of things. That must come out in various ways, I presume.
I think that's the biggest thing with the carer-caree relationship is that person is losing abilities that they had. You know, they're going through guilt, shame, lots of shame and fear. You know, because somebody who was once able to walk and wipe themselves when they finish on the toilet can now no longer walk or wipe themselves when they're on the toilet. You know, they're incontinent sometimes, and that in itself, you know, it's embarrassing. It makes them feel shame, and then you're the one cleaning them up. And unfortunately, what happens is when we're triggered and when something hits one of our internal wounds, we tend to get defensive and snarky and snappy. So the person who's the carer is on the receiving end of the narkiness and the snappiness. So, you know, it can be really difficult to navigate those moments with those people and be able to hold a gentle space for them where they feel safe in their vulnerable state.
That was beautifully said. Yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover, or?
I just think people, when people are being a carer, they're doing amazing things for the people that they love, and they are giving up really big parts of their lives, and they just need to, again, I'm just going to kind of seek the help, get the respite.
Yes.
Always. It's there for a reason. And yes, it can be a bit of a rigmarole to get it, but once you're in the system, you're in the system. And it becomes a lot easier. It's worth the little bit of battle to get into the system.
Is that the battle with the system or the battle with the caree who might be resistant?
Both.
Or both?
Both. Both. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so very much, Rells. It's been a delight having you here, and I've really appreciated some of the insights you've been able to share as a carer and as a human, and thank you for all of your contributions to your nan and your daughter and your family and the greater community for your role as a carer.
No, thank you very much for having me on. It's been great to be here.
Hopefully we can have you back again sometime.
Most likely.
You've been with Rells and Kay on Interesting People, Interesting Times on MITE Radio, and we'll be back, same time, same channel next week. Catch you then.